welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. I am your host, Jeff. I've never introduced myself. That's weird. You're Troy.
I'm Troy, I think.
Sitting across from me is Troy Brittingham. I don't know why I introduced myself. You're Troy Brittingham.
I'm Troy Brittingham. You're Jeff Ackerman.
I'm Jeff Ackerman.
And
that was weird.
And I'm Troy Brittingham.
And I'm Jeff Ackerman.
And D's not here.
D's not here. No. Apparently he's got like a life or something or a family. I don't fucking know. Invincible, episode 2, season 2. TB&J! Titled, In About 6 Hours, I'm Gonna Lose My Virginity to a Fish, which is a reference to the comic. TB&J!
Which comic?
The Spider-Man where Mary Jane dies from his radioactive
Yeah.
You know they're doing a sequel to that? They announced it as a sequel to the most infamous Marvel comic of all time, and I'm just like, so you know it's bad, and you're just your only marketing strategy is the first one was bad.
Hey,
now here's the sequel.
You guys didn't like it last time. You might like it this time.
Yeah. Or you hate yourselves enough, you're gonna read it anyway. Fuck you.
That's more what it is. It's more of like a we're doing this.
It's like when they killed Alfred in Batman a few years ago, and they haven't brought him back or rebooted the universe. So it's been like 4 years and we haven't had Alfred.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Alfred died like 4 or 5 years ago, and like they never replaced him. They didn't bring him back. They didn't reboot nothing. It's just Batman's just boring now. I don't know. I miss Alfred.
What if he got like a cool new butler who dabs? has like frosted tips. He's like in his 30s.
It's just Guy Fieri.
Yeah,
it's just Guy Fieri. Welcome to Batcave's Diners and Drives.
He knows he's Batman like instantly. He's
oh my god.
I would be about this universe. I'd read Batman a lot more.
The Jimmy Kimmel sketch where he walks over to Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck having a conversation, but it's in the universe as Superman and Batman, and he's like, "You're Superman," and he was like, "No, I'm not. Please go away." And he's like, "No, you're Superman. Here, take a picture of us." And Ben Affleck says, "Sure," and puts the phone up over his eyes. He's like, "Wait a second, you're Batman," and it's just like, yeah, it's not. I feel like anybody with a brain would figure this out pretty quick. But
yeah, but listen.
It's comics. It's comics.
Everybody's talked about it that 1,000 times, and
it's comics. Let it go.
Just get over it.
Speaking of comics, we've been talking for like 3 minutes about not Invincible. Invincible season 2, episode 2. Troy, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
I'm also a thumbs up. So this episode, and I have not read all of the comics. I've read bits and pieces, and I feel terrible for that.
If it makes you feel any better, read 0 of the comics.
Yeah, well, so the title of this episode is In About 6 Hours, I'm About to Lose My Virginity to a Fish. Apparently, in the comics, when Atlantis came calling for Mark to answer for his crimes, it really was him supposed to get married to the princess. So he was like in some professional gown, not professional gown, but like some ceremonial gown underwater talking to Cecil on the earpiece. And he says that line, and Cecil's like, "Wait, you're a virgin?" And it's like this. The comics were written in the early 2000s, and they have a lot of early 2000s humor kind of thing. But like that was the original plot of the Atlantis thing. I love what they did instead, where he has to fight this massive fucking thing, and then Cecil accidentally frees it when he tries to help Mark, and then Mark's like, "No, I gotta save these people." And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ.
I do love the line of just like, no, we got rid of that barbaric tradition.
Instead, it's death by trial by combat.
Ritualistic combat. And it's also kind of like it kind of like shits on not shits on, but like it makes fun of like the fact that every single time there's one of these like super advanced like Wakanda has it, Atlantis in Aquaman has it. There might be some in Wakanda, but like every time that there's like a super advanced kind of non-traditionally European thing, some white guy always rates them as they're doing ritualistic combat.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of that is kind of a trope wherever it's like a tribal thing or another civilization. It's like, oh, trial by combat. It's like, oh, you people haven't evolved past that yet. Let me sip
Well,
my cappuccino.
It's always just to be like, we need to get a fight in this one.
Yeah.
But it is funny that they've never been like it was a big criticism of it was one of the only real criticisms of the first Black Panther, really, where people were like, yeah, I mean, I feel like they'd like vote.
Yeah, you could just like vote instead of whoever's the baddest just takes over.
Yeah, they got like a lot of shit going for them. I feel like they would have gotten rid of this one a while ago.
Yeah, who knows? So, Troy, did you have a specific favorite part of this episode?
I was a big fan of the Adam Eve stuff in this
That's
one.
literally the first thing I was thinking. No good deed goes unpunished. And the Chicago playground that sunk, nobody was killed, but like tons were injured.
I actually like the fact that she is like so mortified by the fact that when she hears the news, she's like she's still like kind of anxiety ridden and like having like a moment. And they specifically say like nobody got hurt, but it's just like a whole thing of she's just like it's not like a whole thing of like they needed to specify like somebody got hurt and that's why this is bad. It was just like somebody could have gotten hurt and that is good enough for me to be mortified by this.
Yeah. So speaking of the Adam and Eve storyline, so something that really, really kind of hit me and made me start formulating theories as a guy that hasn't.
You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that part.
Formulating theories.
Thank you.
As a guy that hadn't read the comics at all, so I don't know if this is like established in the comics later on or if this is a thing. But when she goes to her parents' house and her mother reveals that they've been struggling financially, she makes all this food appear. Food is organic, living matter. At least some of the food that she was creating, like fruits and vegetables. Humans are organic, living matter.
Mm-hmm.
Can Adam Eve create people? I mean, I don't feel like it's that big of a stretch. I mean, she might not create, like, thinking people.
Mm-hmm.
She might create, like, drones or simpletons that can just follow directions. But I feel like if she pushes herself a little bit, she can go past apples and carrots and just make an army. Granted, she wouldn't, because Adam Eve is probably the most morally good character we have in this show so far. Well, I mean, she did serve alcohol to minors, so tomato. Take your pick. But I feel like she could definitely do some like organic shit. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm. Like, you're trying to say that we're just a little bit past fruits and vegetables.
Shut the fuck up.
No, I'm kidding.
But no, she absolutely could, like, not even creating armies, but like if she wants to take her good deeds to the next level, just create organs for people or blood. Could she do that? What is the limitation of her being able to create matter? Because that's breaking a law of physics. I thought at first it was just transitioning one matter into another, which is fine and would keep it within the laws of thermodynamics that matter can't be destroyed or created. But she fucking created food out of nothing. And then she took an apple and made it solid gold. Like, this lady can seemingly has no ceiling. She might be like the Invincible universe's Jean Grey.
Yeah,
where it's just like
secret, like accidentally the strongest person in the whole
accidentally
show.
the super strongest person in the whole show. But unlike Jean Grey, she seems to be the only like true good, lawful good character.
To be fair, Jean Grey was kind of that too.
Dark Phoenix, bro, come on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is she was considered kind of super boring and just kind of the girl X-Men for the longest time.
The girl X-Men.
And
secretly, she's like a fucking class 1 mutant.
Well, yeah, that's that. They used that storyline to really kind of like.
Is it class 1 or class A?
I
feel like they would do it letters. It doesn't matter.
No, it would be they have a omega level.
Omega level
Like,
mutants. That's what it is. Yeah.
But yeah, she was kind of a goody two shoes kind of character too. So and then they did Dark Phoenix. So I mean, there's always the possibility to do that with a character with seemingly infinite possibilities to do whatever with their powers. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where that would go. But I mean, if they draw this out of every good thing she does has,
unintended consequences.
And it's just like a whole thing of just like, it's just she just didn't ask one question to one like government official, and you can argue some of that is on the transparency of people actually building things, or even the woman who told her that they weren't doing anything with that spot, and they like it's a whole thing of like, if anything that happened in that was not really her fault, it was just, there's just one more level of conversation that needs to happen. And if they keep dragging it out of everything is much more complicated than just doing a good thing, that could lead to that can really lead to a billion different places.
It absolutely could, and that's one of my favorite ways to portray superheroes, because everybody fantasizes about just flying in and saving the day and cutting through the red tape, and Adam Eve is exemplifying that and personifying it. But like, some of that red tape exists for a reason. Like when the construction worker, she said, that building's not up to code, how do I know anything was properly inspected or anything? Like, that's a real thing. Mm-hmm. You got to make sure that thing fucking stands and doesn't fall over. Like, when you build a house, you put up the frame and somebody inspects it to make sure it's done properly, or else you got to tear it down and start again before you advance. Like, there are steps to be taken, and to somebody that's not familiar with that field of work, it could seem like unnecessary red tape and bureaucracy, but a lot of it is actual safety, especially in buildings. Every fucking safety rule is written in blood, and Adam Eve seems to just just step over all of that. And he's like, nah, you want a park? I got you. I'll build you a park. And, like, it seems so simple and innocent on the surface. It's just a park in an empty lot. But then it collapses because it's built over unstable land. Like, what are you going to do? If you had a proper geological survey, or waited for the city to step in and actually, tell you what's up, just another couple of questions could have saved those people from getting hurt and almost killed. I don't know. I'm a big safety guy. I'm not a big bureaucracy guy, but I am a big safety guy.
You're doing the safety dance right now.
We can dance if we want to. We can leave your friends behind.
You actually do it every single time we're on the podcast. You just never sing.
Dance, well, no friends of mine. Say. You know how many safety yellow articles of clothing I own, Troy? It's a lot. I also work in construction, so they were all given to me for free.
Yeah, that's all right. That doesn't count.
My job is very construction adjacent, but regardless, I have a lot of
I wish more people had it. It is dark over here in
It gets dark at like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I don't want to be an old person who talks about how dark.
I love fall, but goddamn, I wish it would get dark a little later.
Dude, literally, like, I don't
Fuck
know.
daylight
I don't know what was
savings time.
happening when I was driving over here to do the podcast. There was like 4 people just like walking in the street and crossing the street in full black clothing, and I'm just like, stop it, please.
What are you doing?
Please. I don't want to hit anybody.
No, what are you doing? They're playing like IRL Frogger.
It was like literally 4 people.
What the fuck?
In different locations.
I know they say safety in numbers, but that's not quite what they mean.
They weren't in numbers. They were all singular people.
No, I mean like they were together because numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Safety in numbers when you're going out into the wilderness, because wild animals are less likely to attack a group if they're. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And I'm a wild animal.
I could easily put all of our listeners to sleep if I just started going off on all my stupid.
We probably do already. Anyway, what about this episode?
If you put us in your ears and then drift off to sleep, write in. Let us know. TB&J podcast@gmail.com. Let me know. Let me know if you listen to us as you fall asleep, or if you're doing laundry, or something else where your brain doesn't need to be active.
I feel like sometimes we stay at sort of a consistent tone and then suddenly hit them with a sharp sound out of nowhere, usually your laugh. And I don't know if that necessarily would be good sleeping material.
Just jerk them awake like, "Gah! What was that witch's cackle I just heard?"
The Joker's in my dreams.
Oh God! Joker got out of Arkham again. Call Batman. No. My laugh is kind of terrible for those who aren't used to it.
It's great.
It's great.
It's great.
I was at a comedy show in the city. We were watching Auntie Donna from one of my favorite improv troupes from Australia. And there was a lady in front of us after the show. She turned around and was like, "Excuse me, I just got to tell you, I love your laugh." And I was like, "Oh no." Not only did I laugh loud enough that she heard me, but like she knew it was me. Like it was that distinctive of a laugh that she knew it must have been me and not anyone else, like my wife next to me or John to the other side of me. Like she knew it was me individually.
Oh my god, you're the you're the annoying laugh guy, right? Hey, can I hang out with you? You're the annoying laugh guy. Laugh for me, annoying laugh guy.
Oh no. Sure, come on.
It seemed like a compliment.
She said it so sincerely and heartwarmingly, and like that crowd, it's a very warm crowd. It's a very like queer friendly crowd for lack of better terminology. But like nobody there's trying to be a dick or a troll. So it was a very nice, welcoming community. So like the way she said it, like she reached out her hand.
Except for Richard Trollerton, of course.
Of course, fuck Dick Trollerton.
That guy sucks.
Yeah. We need to make that guy a character, and all he does is troll people. But yeah, she just reached out. She was like, I just love your laugh. I just had to tell you. And I could feel my cheeks turn red. I was like, oh no, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I ruined your experience. Oh God. It was also, it was at the fucking theater. Like the fucking Kimmel Theater. So like all these people around me are in like fancy suits and dresses going off to see actual plays. And then there's like a group of 20, 30-year-olds just wearing T-shirts and jeans. And it's like, oh, you're here for the Auntie Donnie show. Great. Awesome. This way. Anyway, enough about that show. And back to the real show. Invincible. How do you feel about the Martian guy?
I like it enough.
You think he's trying to be a superhero, or do you think this is like the long con?
I'm wondering if they're sort of doing a scroll thing, a comic book scroll, not the fucking show we made ourselves watch. In the actual Secret Invasion comics, a lot of Skrulls don't even know that they're Skrulls.
Oh.
And I'm wondering if he isn't actually the same type of Martian as Martian Man, but thinks he is.
I don't thought you were going to say Martian Manhunter. And I was going to be like,
that's
no!
basically what he is. He's the exact same character. But
Does Martian Manhunter do all the stretchy shit?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and he shapeshifts and his this guy's name is like John Johnson or something like that, and Martian Manhunter's John Johns.
That's so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. I hate that so much. I wanted more like Prey kind of things, where it's like the little tiny what's the word I'm looking for? The stupid little thing.
The face huggers?
No. What's the word I'm looking for? Not symbiote, but like parasite. Parasite's the word. The little parasites just get into you, and they turn you into their army, and then you get like all the bad guys. Basically, what the astronauts were saying would happen if one of them ever made it back on the ship, and then one of them did. Do. Who saw that coming? I really think that is there something? So the Immortal's back.
Yeah.
Martian Man is maybe back if this new guy decides to take on his identity.
Sure,
because he's got his powers.
He is what? He's the Shapesmith?
The Shapesmith, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Basically the same powers.
Yep.
But, he's the same thing. And then you have the fucking Nightwing storyline where the new guy took on Darkwing's suit and is acting like him in the Cursed City.
A little Jason Todd-y.
Yeah. So, like, I'm wondering, are they going to have, like, a new sector of Guardians? Is Cecil going to try to be like, well, if you guys keep fucking up, I've got replacements? Is that going to be, like, a plot line? Because, like, these Guardians, the teenagers, the 20-somethings, they're not great at their job. They're all right, but they could be a lot better.
I mean, also we're in the middle of trying to tear down Rexplode's whole life to the bare bones. We're trying to really sink him to the bottom.
Seeing Immortal come out of the shower with the 3 duplicates, I was like, come on, bro. You're easily 1,000,000 and she's barely 18. Like, come on.
No, he's gonna suck for this season. And I think my pick is I think that he slowly rotates out the Guardians. They go back to, I guess they would just be like a slightly aged up teen team or whatever,
something like that.
Yeah. And then I think genuinely he and Mark never have like an actual Immortal and Mark never have like an actual like moment where they get together and reconcile and have trust in each other. I think that we're ending this episode and we're ending this season. They're gonna fucking hate each other, or Immortal's gonna be dead again.
Very real possibility.
Yeah, I think that there's even a shot that they try to subvert the apology and trust thing. Like maybe they have a conversation and he's like, "No, fuck you."
Yeah.
In either direction, probably Mortal to Mark, but either way. But yeah, I think Immortal is gonna be sort of not a bad guy, but it's kind of the antagonist of the season for that half of the series. For that half of the season, I mean.
Yeah. I also really love Debbie's character arc that she's going through right now. Like, she's kind of, I don't want to say becoming an alcoholic, but it seems like every time she's home, she's drinking wine to the point of excess. She lashed out at a furniture cabinet and just was crying on the floor afterwards. Like, I absolutely adore what they're doing with the character of Debbie. It wasn't like, oh, Nolan sucks, but I'm over it now. It's like, no, she's got to go through the trauma. She's got to deal with her shit. And Mark's hurt, but he's a fucking 18-year-old, so he doesn't really know how to deal with his emotions either, other than just not have them and just lock them away and bottle them up until they become deep-seated traumas.
From what I understand, though, as somebody who didn't read the comics, it's a fine line because I'm pretty sure one of the big criticisms of the comic is Debbie's not as much of a character in the comics as much as she just is kind of like, she just kind of breaks down and is an alcoholic pretty quickly.
Okay.
And I think, this is all criticisms I've heard. I could be getting this totally wrong.
I mean, you're not, I'm sure it's not too off base. It was early 2000s comic writing.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if they're gonna try to spin it a little bit.
Oh, it wasn't early 2000s. It was mid to late 2000s. I think we established this last time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 2010 or 2013 or whatever. Anyway, sorry, doesn't matter.
No, but I'm wondering how they're going to do that, because I remember when the first season was coming out, people were like praising how good Debbie was in comparison to the comics. Like, I know that she's one of the ones who was a lot better. And now they're starting to be like, okay, we have sort of a base of she's the cool mom character. Now we're going to go into sort of more of what she was in the comic books. And I have full 100% trust that they will make it better, probably. But that is just a slight criticism that I've heard before, and I don't know exactly the extent of it, and I'm wondering how what other people are going to say about it later, like a D who has read them all, or most of them at least.
I believe D said that he had read a good chunk of them, if not all of them. I'm also something I do know from what little I read of the comics. Mark goes through a really big like character shift when he wears the darker blue suit. And it's like a much darker Mark timeline. Not evil Mark, but it's a much darker, kind of trauma-laden storyline. And the cracks in the Invincible title card reveal that darker blue suit behind it. So I'm wondering if that's like the big Season 2 reveal, is like we get Mark, the new suit, and he's like a much deeper traumatized... Dark Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Mark. Dark Mark.
Dark Mark?
Dark Mark? Yeah,
well, the rest of the podcast was just us making those sounds.
Dark Mark.
Now you just sound like Blue's Clues.
Perfect No, we are not going to devolve into Animal Crossing noises for the rest of the podcast. But no, I would be very interested to see how they handle that, because in the comics, everything is always like super dark and super broody and whatever. There's not a whole lot of dimensions to it sometimes. Batman is probably the biggest offender of that, but I imagine Dark Mark is not too far off, unless this is an amazingly different comic book. But I would love to see where that goes. I also, what the fuck else was I gonna say? It just ran out of my brain, Troy.
That you love me and you cherish our friendship.
I don't love you at all. Don't say those words ever again.
Okay.
This is a relationship of convenience.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't just talk to myself on a podcast.
Right. You need to find somebody with the initials TB.
Yeah.
Who cares about this shit?
Or tuberculosis.
Or you could get tuberculosis, I guess.
Yeah, I could.
You could give D tuberculosis.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a whole lot of
one of those ancient diseases that's been eradicated.
He doesn't have a whole lot of great years left in him. That's a little. He's kind of
You're
swan song.
Jesus.
I feel like I talk about his age every
He's
single
in his
time.
twilight years. We're gonna start slipping him like retirement home pamphlets under his door.
We'll put him in a nice podcast.
Shady
home.
Pines.
They'll probably have podcasts for old people, right?
Yeah, it's just called podcasts. There's no age limit on podcasts. You just have to know how to download them. Or open YouTube and click on them. Come on.
I feel like every single time I fucking up his age 10 years every time.
Yeah. You're going to put him in an early fucking grave. Oh, man, I fucking love that. Fuck, what the hell else was I talking about?
What are there other
Cecil, Mark.
Cecil
and Mark. So, how do you feel about their relationship? Because it seems like Cecil's trying not to make the same mistake that he made with Omni-Man.
Mm-hmm.
He's not giving Mark any sort of leash or freedom, even though he's telling Debbie he absolutely is. I feel like that's a big fat lie. And speaking of lies, Donald's alive.
Yep. Who's
what?
He was in last episode briefly, I think, right?
I don't think so.
There wasn't anybody who reacted to him, but I thought he was in.
He may have been. I'm not remembering properly, maybe. But seeing Donald just show up and he's just like, "Oh, hey, Debbie."
And as we called him in season 1, I think this was a D poll, but adult Bobby Hill.
I mean, oh God, when they went into the other universe with evil Invincible and Levy was talking to him, and then female Cecil and female Donald show up, and they look the same, just like with a wig, and I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, this is amazing. I love this so much. I hope that's a joke they did in the comics. But Cecil seems like a slimy little bastard, huh?
Well, yeah, that was. His
Is he a good guy?
But, well, he's supposed to kind of be, more like original kind of David Hasselhoff-y Nick Fury, where
he's got a master plan.
Yeah, he's always kind of the guy. Like a bunch of older Marvel stuff, it was really like, yeah, I'm sort of in charge of this corporation that kind of runs everything underneath, and I want to actually be in charge of all the superheroes and keep everybody in check. And then he does something, and he's just like, well, to beat X bad guy, we got to nuke New York or whatever. And people are like, that doesn't seem like a good guy thing. Let's us Avengers do a thing that's better than what you're saying.
What the fuck? Let's just drop a nuclear bomb on New York.
I'm making up a story. I don't know if that's
okay.
But it's like that sort of thing of like he will eventually go too far and overstep or kind of be a bit of like he sort of was Cecil to an extent in Marvel, and that type of character. And Amanda Waller is another good example.
Oh yeah, that's the first thing I thought of was Cecil is very Amanda Waller-y with her Suicide Squad.
It's that kind of archetype. Except I think he's got probably a little bit more hold on the sort of, not industry, it's not the boys, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The kind of military compound of superheroes that they have going on in this universe.
Do you think the Mauler twins recreated Donald for us?
No, I think Cecil can probably clone whoever he wants. I feel like he's got the ability to do that.
You think so?
I think I mean, he can teleport at will wherever he wants and has a fucking hammer of dawn.
Doesn't it cost like $1 billion to do that every single time?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. I want to see the financials of the superhero group. I'm just curious. So I really want to know what Cecil's like plan is. The more I see of him on screen, the more questions I have. Like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, does he ever sleep? Does he ever eat? Does he ever do anything other than being him and just being this mysterious character, teleporting and zapping in and out? It's just fucking crazy. I want the revelation at the end of the series to be Cecil is 32. Because
he just has a lot of gray hairs.
He's got all the gray hair and the wrinkles and all that shit, and I'm just like, yeah, that.
It's just what the job does to you.
Yep, it's like being president. It ages you like 10 years. Oh God. Okay.
Then for it would make sense for us to hire somebody who's younger, probably, right?
It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Anyway,
instead we got two grandpas.
We should probably talk about the show.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? I think I'm pretty much done.
I think that's pretty much all.
D, I know you're listening. Call me. Tell me what I fucked up. That was it.
We didn't fucking do anything. We're great. We're good at this. We're fucking. Good.
We are professionals.
I
bought Assassin's Creed Mirage yesterday.
Ooh.
It's really good.
Here's a question for you. By the end of the season, who's dead?
Oh, that is a good question. I really feel like Amber is not long for this world. I don't know why.
Nah,
I just have.
I think
it's not like I've never read anything on the comics or anything like that, but I really feel like Amber's not long for this world. If there's one thing we've learned from season 1, it's that nobody is safe. Anybody could die with the exception of Mark. Anybody else could easily be thrown away. I feel like.
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of people who have sort of come back at this point, and
that's true.
There's a lot of clonings and a lot of
new
regenerations and well, that's a different story. That's just a different guy. If I killed you and put on your glasses, it's not you didn't come back to life.
Yeah, I just oh fuck! Remember when Mark had Darkwing in like that Shadowverse? And he was just, like, fucking holding him there. And he was like, we're going to stay here until you get me out of here. Or we're both going to die. Fucking, oh, God. And he was like, you have no idea what I'm capable of.
You said I'm Omni-Man's son.
Leaning into the darkness. Oh, God. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, dude. I'm super excited for the rest of this season. This is probably my most anticipated show now. I think it's surpassed The Boys for me.
I would say so. Season 3 had ups and downs.
Season 3 left a lot to be desired.
I don't know. I mean, we were pretty positive on it.
Still positive about it, but like I wanted, like, fucking, you're doing all this lead up to take on Homelander. You have it in the palm of your hands and you toss it away for.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter right now. This isn't about that show. Speaking of Homelander, though, you see, Anthony Starr is not voicing him.
I know. Listen. If he's the one that we didn't get, I would have rather taken. I said it originally. I would rather have J.K. Simmons and John Cena, but
I'd rather have J.K. and Anthony and replace
so?
John Cena. Yeah.
Anthony
Starr's voice makes Homelander. That's like half of it.
I think his face makes Homelander a lot more than his voice, and it's a CGI kind of.
The rumor is that, and we can talk about this more on the video game podcast. The rumor is that they had Cena and J.K. Do their voice lines before the strike, and they couldn't get Anthony before the strike. And then after the strike, they couldn't get him at all, and then it was like, well, we have to ship the product.
Well, the show is probably underway at this point again.
Well, the show I think is wrapping up filming. I think filming mostly was finished. Actually, yeah, filming is finished because it's coming in early 2024.
Okay.
Yeah, filming had finished before the strike. They were just doing editing and stuff, which was a little paused, I guess. But yeah, so that's the theory I heard, was that they couldn't get Anthony in the studio before the strike, and then the strike happened. So then it was like, well, now it's definitely not happening, which is a bummer. But you know, it happens.
Yeah, and I mean, I am a big advocate of when there's cool shit to be done. Usually NetherRealm gets it done. There's criticisms about the new game that people have about like monetization and shit and single player stuff.
Yeah.
But and we'll talk about that on the video game podcast too.
I'm very excited to pick your brain about it because I love Mortal Kombat for the single player.
I have nuanced opinions about Mortal Kombat.
Color me, not surprised.
But usually I think that when it comes to them doing a cool thing like getting a Jean-Claude Van Damme skin for Johnny Cage or having a game that has Alien versus Predator and not fumbling that type of stuff, usually they're on board with it. And the three rare misses are not getting Ash Williams in the game, not getting Terminator voiced by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and now not getting Anthony Starr to do Homelander. And it's really the three misses I can think of.
Yeah. But yeah, that I think that'll do it for episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. That'll do it for episode 2. Join us next week for episode 3 of Invincible. Join us this weekend for an episode of our video game podcast with good old time friend Chris Carroll. And we'll talk about what we've been playing recently.
Do I maybe have a new Mortal Kombat main that relates to this show a little bit?
Everyone you play is a main. Like, you main everyone in the game.
I'm going to be real. Maybe more than Scorpion.
Wow. Well, we'll get into it later. But you're going to talk about Mortal Kombat. I'll talk about Assassin's Creed Mirage, probably, because that's my new thing. And Chris can talk about whatever Chris is playing. But that's it for today. That was a weird exit.
You want to give it another shot?
That's it for today.
Right,
Question mark?
Give it one more time.
That was TB&J Podcast.
I'll take it.
I don't know if you know this. I love Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller. Mm-hmm. He's got his podcast, Penn Sunday School. Mm-hmm. And at the end of every episode, he says, that was Penn Sunday School.
You now need to give it another outro.
That was TB&J Podcast.